Get ready for a wild one because today we are diving into the psychology of attraction.
Oh, always a fun topic.
Right. But this isn't your typical dating advice. We found this source that claims most of what we think we know about attraction totally wrong.
Bold statement. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it gets intense. We're talking about using things like strategic ignoring, even triggering emotions on purpose.
Okay, now that sounds a little manipulative. No.
But my thoughts exactly. We're going to unpack all of that, see if it's actually as shady as it sounds. But even if it is, kind of fascinating to think about.
Morally ambiguous, but yeah, definitely interesting. Where do we even start with this?
So this power of ignoring thing.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Are they, suggesting the silent treatment? Because that doesn't scream healthy relationship to me.
No, it's not that simplistic. This source argues that constantly showering someone with attention, it actually backfires.
Really? I would have thought being attentive was a good thing.
You'd think, right? But too much availability, you're always the one reaching out, it diminishes the value of your attention. No mystery.
Oh, so it's like playing hard to get.
Kind of. They call it the scarcity effect. Basically, supply and demand. The rarer something is, the more desirable. Think about those luxury brands.
Okay, yeah, limited edition sneakers get me every time.
Uh-huh.
But how's that supposed to build a real connection? It feels more like a marketing tactic than, genuine attraction.
Right, and that's where you got to be careful with this stuff. It's about subtlety, not manipulation. Having your own life, interests, not depending on someone else for validation.
Showing you've got stuff going on, which can be attractive.
Exactly. You're showcasing your value without even trying.
Yeah.
Let them miss you a little, Then they start wanting to earn your attention. And that ties into their next point, which is even wilder. Emotional triggers.
Okay, that sounds kind of scary. What are we talking about here?
So their argument is that attraction is emotional, not logical. It's about creating a roller coaster, keeping the other person on their toes.
A roller coaster. Isn't the goal stability in a relationship?
Sure, but stable can get boring.
Fair.
They're saying a little surprise, a little uncertainty, keeps things interesting.
So not like being cruel on purpose, but a balance between predictable and spontaneous.
Right. They compare it to slot machines, actually.
Hold on, what?
It's that unpredictable reward system. You never know when you're going to win, so you keep pulling the lever. Keeps you hooked.
Okay, interesting analogy. But we're not treating relationships like slot machines, are we?
No, of course not, literally.
Yeah.
But it's about finding that balance. Fully engage one day, give them space the next, surprise them sometimes, but not constantly. Keep them guessing a little.
Creating those highs and lows, but not in a manipulative way. This is a fine line we're walking here.
Totally, and that's where their whole high-value behavior and detachment thing comes in.
Detachment. But aren't we trying to, build a connection?
Yeah, but not from a place of neediness. It's about recognizing your own worth, not needing someone else to give you validation.
So focus on yourself, your own goals.
Exactly. They say when you're constantly seeking approval, it actually makes you less attractive. But radiating confidence, independence, that's magnetic.
So instead of chasing after them, you become the best version of yourself.
You got it. You do you. And they'll be drawn to that. That inner confidence speaks volumes.
Okay, I'm starting to see the method to this madness, even if it's a little out there.
Right. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And now we're getting into some seriously interesting territory with subtle influence.
Subtle influence, huh? Okay, you had me at influence.
Right, but hold on. Before you think it's about manipulation, this source is actually really careful about that.
Because, that could go sideways fast.
Exactly. They're not talking about being sneaky, but rather understanding how we communicate even when we don't realize it. Our body language, how we react to someone, even mirroring their behavior, it all has an impact.
So it's about being aware of those things, how they might be perceived.
Yes. Think about eye contact. Holding someone's gaze for just a beat longer can communicate a lot of confidence, interest, or even mirroring, subtly reflecting their posture, their tone of voice.
Creating that sense of, we're on the same wavelength.
Exactly. We naturally connect with people who seem similar to us. It's fascinating, really.
It is. But I can also see how easily that could be, misused.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't about tricks. It's about awareness. How you carry yourself, your tone, even your silence speaks volumes.
Speaking of silence, that was another big one. Confidence through silence. In this day and age, feels almost impossible.
Right, and yet that's what makes it so powerful. Think about it, when everyone's trying to fill the silence, being comfortable in it shows a different level of confidence.
Owning those moments instead of dreading them, basically.
Yes. Picture this. First date, instead of nervously rambling on, you pause after a question, make eye contact, really consider your response.
Oh, that's powerful. Suddenly I feel like I'm in a movie montage.
Right, it shows you're thoughtful, present, comfortable with yourself. Incredibly attractive.
Saying more by not saying anything at all. I kind of love it. And speaking of less is more, this whole mystery and distance idea.
Ah, yes. The allure of the unknown. We're naturally drawn to what we don't fully understand, what takes time to uncover.
So instead of spilling your guts on a first date, keep some things back, reveal them slowly.
Exactly, like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Okay, much better analogy than the slot machine from earlier.
I know, right? But their point about social media really resonated with me. When you put everything out there, what's left to discover?
It's like reading the last page of the book first. Ruins the fun.
Totally. This takes patience, restraint, but it allows a genuine connection to unfold more organically.
I like that. So what other counterintuitive dating advice does this unconventional source have for us?
All right, brace yourself, because this one might be a shock. Rejection as power.
Wait, what? Rejection? As in, like, getting turned down? No, thank you.
No one likes rejection, obviously. But their point is, it's not about seeking it out, but how you handle it.
So it's a mindset thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most people see it as a personal failure. What if instead we saw it as simply a mismatch? Wrong timing, maybe even about them, not us.
Detaching your self-worth from their decision, basically.
Exactly, and that is powerful. They even say, imagine responding to being turned down with a smile, no problem.
Bold move. I'd probably be crying on the inside. But I get it, you're not letting it faze you.
Right. You're showing them, and more importantly yourself, that your self-worth doesn't depend on their approval. Now this next part is where we really need to tread carefully because it gets into some ethically murky waters.
Yeah.
Manipulation or strategy.
Ooh, yeah, that's the question, isn't it? Where do we draw the line?
Right. And the source acknowledges that. They emphasize that it all comes down to intent. Are you using these insights to deceive or control or to create a genuine, fulfilling connection?
So if you're coming from a place of insecurity, trying to win at all costs, that's probably a red flag. But if it's about respect, authenticity, maybe that's strategy.
Exactly. Using the power of ignoring to make someone jealous.
Yeah.
Manipulative for sure, but creating healthy space in a relationship, letting each person have their own lives, that could be a strategy for a stronger bond long term.
It all comes back to being mindful, right? What's the intention behind my actions and how might it impact the other person?
Exactly. Are you trying to control how they feel about you or just be your best self and let things unfold authentically?
That's a great way to put it. So where do we go from here? Because this is a lot to process.
Well, they end on what might seem like a surprising note, given everything we've discussed. Balancing confidence with vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Wait, didn't we just talk about how powerful confidence is?
We did, but they make the point that true strength is being able to show your authentic self, even the parts that feel scary to share.
So being real even when it's uncomfortable.
Exactly. Letting someone see your heart, not just the carefully curated persona.
Because let's be real, trying to be someone you're not is exhausting. And it never lasts.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And that willingness to be vulnerable, it shows a level of trust that can be incredibly attractive.
Okay, so we've gone from strategic ignoring to vulnerability is sexy. This source is full of surprises.
Full of surprises, but also, like we said, a lot to unpack.
That's for sure. I feel like I need a whole notebook just to process everything we talked about. And honestly, some of it still feels a little iffy to me.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. Not everything's going to resonate with everyone, and that's okay.
Exactly. Like, if something feels manipulative, trust your gut.
Absolutely. Especially with relationships, there's no one-size-fits-all. Take what works for you, your values, and leave the rest behind.
100%. This whole deep dive, it's definitely made me rethink some things, but it also kind of brings me back to the basics, you know?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, we all just want to be seen for who we are, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's the key takeaway here. It's not about memorizing a bunch of tricks, but understanding yourself better.
Yeah.
And how that impacts your interactions.
Self-awareness, it all comes back to that.
Always does. Your motivations, insecurities, how you communicate, that's what builds a strong foundation for any relationship.
So it's not just about attracting someone, but being someone they actually want to stick around for.
Exactly. Someone who can build that trust, that vulnerability, that's where the real magic happens.
Well said. So much better than mastering dark psychology to get a date.
Right. Okay. Let's leave that to the movies.
Agreed. All right, well, that wraps up our deep dive into the fascinating and sometimes confusing world of attraction. Big takeaways for me. Confidence is great, vulnerability is even better, and maybe don't treat your love life like a slot machine. What about you? Head over to our socials. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, happy connecting.